Okay, I'm Mark, N7CTM, and Dave Mack, he's on our computer for the video production, and we did have some technical difficulties, so I was hoping that everything would go off without a hitch, but I think it gets back to the adage of if it's too complicated, it ain't gonna work. So how did we get here today? I mean, I remember the simpler days when for RMHAM University, we'd get up early in the morning, we would go to Village Inn, meet with the group, come over here and do a presentation, locally, meet the other hams, some collaborations. And part of the problem with that is, well, here we go, more technology problems. Maybe we'll go back to the simple days. Well, and in the presentation, it's been uploaded. We do have some references that you can get to. But this is where we were at. I mean, from the, being in the room every week or every month throughout the winter months, then we got this little thing called COVID. And we could no longer get into the classroom here. So what did we do next? Initially, we tried doing just a Zoom meeting, and a lot of us with our work lives were on Zoom. And a lot of the times it's just kind of some talking heads and some different things. So like everything I think RMHAM does is simple is not always what we do. We try to complicate things. So kind of today I'm going to go through and talk, some of the equipment that you see in here, talk about, where it got started, some of the challenges we had, kind of where we're at today. As you could see, we were having some issues today, and some weeks go better than the other. We can work on the equipment in my basement. Everything is flawless. We bring it in here 1 month. Everything comes up working. We can get things set up in a half hour. Last night, we struggled with, the third HDMI cable finally was able to connect us to the room here. So it's ongoing. We continually learn. There's some, every week, we talk about, or after every production, it's like, well, can you guys do this? Or, what's next? And then Dave will do part of it with kind of the separation when we change the video software, and we'll be doing kind of a walking tour. So kind of bear with us. Dave has also got a microphone, and he may add some things as we go along. We'll just see where it goes. So we started with, like I said, at COVID, we started with a Zoom meeting, and we soon found out that we couldn't do what we wanted with Zoom. So, some typical hams, we go through and figure out what kind of equipment do we have, how can we latch this together. And as you can see in these seams, and you can look at the quality of the video and compared to what we have today. But we started out with trying to run this on a laptop. John brought a whole boxes of, here's some cables, here's some XLRs, we've got capture cards, let's make it work. And so again, the equipment setup, it takes time. We had the flexibility, again with the capture card. One day the silver HDMI capture card would work. The next time we tried it, it was the black card. So we were always doing configuration. The software, we can either blame Microsoft, or maybe we can blame some of the original software. Inconsistent configurations. We had some inflexible audio configurations. Sometimes, the mixer we had didn't have USB output, so we ended up taking an XLR out, splitting the audio, trying to get the paths to go. We've played with virtual audio cables, so it was a real challenge. Also, we started out being cheap. We're hams with OBS Studio, which is a very good application for being free. It's very powerful, but we couldn't do everything that we wanted with it. All of the lower thirds in the titling, John used to have to do this externally, render the lower thirds, and to do it external. And it took some time from all of us. And once we moved from Willem's office into here, the first thing that we found is we were blocked from Zoom, and some of the networking that we use within the building, we were blocked with firewall rules. So that was something that we've overcome with some of our infrastructure and being able to do VPN. Here's just some, more pictures. That looks like that one got duplicated. Again, the laptop. We had a PTZ camera, and that particular one, we weren't using a capture card. We were trying to grab the RSTP stream. And sometimes that was working, other times it was not. The PTZ didn't always work. But we were learning as we went along. Initially it was, John and I, it was, middle of COVID, so we would go to Willem's office. He wasn't using it, so we took over the whole conference room. We may have maybe broken his table, but it was real interesting. It was a good learning experience as we started going through this. And the goal is what can we do, to be professional and just keep adding some different things. They're going the wrong way. We'll get here. I'm technology challenged, I think, today. Okay. Got that one. We got that one. We got that one. But the equipment that we really had, we had a good enough computer. I had mentioned the audio mixer that had some challenges. We've always had some pretty good wireless microphones that we've had people donate, and some of the equipment. Again, we were using Zoom, OBS Studio, the capture cards, and we finally upgraded to the Stream Deck, an Elgato. We'll show you some pictures of that, and Dave will kind of explain what that's helped us do. Here was another one of the PTZ cameras that was problematic. We would have it set up. As soon as the presentation started, it would go to sleep on us. So again, we had a lot of cables. This is, we're radio amateurs. Things are supposed to be wireless, but this was definitely not wireless. And here's some, as we updated, you can see some of the pictures are getting, better as we're combining things. This particular, setup here, we were starting to upgrade monitors. We got the case that you'll see a little later. It didn't have the computer. We had a separate tower computer, again with, hey, which USB port do we plug things in? Here's some more pictures. The top pictures, we started using an iPhone. It will also work on Android. There's an application for NDI. So we're trying to do a lot more with NDI. We have a wireless network in here, and John will be demonstrating an NDI camera later when we do some of the close-ups. So this was just kind of a continual evolution still at Willem's office during COVID, and we used this time to learn. Some more pictures with, we got John back there. I think now with John has kind of delegated the equipment that Dave and I have been hauling around. It's been staying in my basement, so yes, John was saying his back thanks us. So we also were experimenting on the right. We can see Willem. I think that's a good picture. We were playing with a green screen. We had some challenges with it. We may go back to playing with some green screen, but I couldn't find a ham that had an iron that would get some of the creases out. So we'll see what happens. I know John gave me, I got a whole bag of green screen now and some more lights, so we continue. So here this was about the first one, I think was it last year or the year before that we kind of got into the classroom here. So it was last year, and we'd had a lot of, again, some challenges here with the network and the long HDMI cables, and we were still using, OBS. We're not going to really go into, a lot of that. Again, it was very inflexible. And between 1 month to another month, John goes, oh, we're switching to vMix. So it was a learning experience. We had, Rob, our RMHam president, helped us out a little with it. We had different people working on it. So that's where it's kind of grown from now. And I think it's you up, Dave. I think you're next. So give us a second and I'll switch. So I have to go run the presentation and we'll get Dave over here to fill in all the blanks.
Well, I just thought I might do it from over here. John's got the Steadicam set up. Let me give the guys in the room the ability to see that. We've made a lot of changes. You can see that the width of the desktop that we have, two 30-inch monitors? 34-inch monitors here, and we use almost every bit of that screen area. On the left side, we've got all the video. We have a preview screen where we can set up the next shot. We could set up the main camera, which doesn't have anybody in it. There's the classroom. On the right side, you can see what's actually coming out on the stream to anybody that's remote. Across the bottom are the cameras and the effects. So, for example, I can set up a combination shot. Yeah, thanks, Willem. Let's see. We could let you look at a conversation, for example, between the main camera and the attendees in the room, or we can do we can put the presentation up so that you can see the current presentation. We can see. Let's see. We can go back to John's camera. So we have a lot of flexibility. Also, across the bottom here, we're able to set up titles. So we can set up. We have a list. What I do is I load the list from just a spreadsheet, and then I can select the one that we're going to be using, and then I can activate it for a period of time in order to kind of add some additional content to the presentation. That should go away there in a second. There we go. Just to the right of that is all the audio. We have a Behringer XR18 that we're using for all the audio. You can see that we have faders for all of the level controls. We have meters so we can see where the active inputs are. And the output of that over here on main is going down here to the vMix audio mixer, where we mix in all the rest of the audio sources, which include remote callers. The Zoom audio comes through here, and then we have separate buses. We have the stream bus. We have an in-room bus because you don't want my microphone causing feedback in the room. We have a separate audio bus to Zoom so that anybody on Zoom doesn't get feedback when they talk to us here in the room. And then we also have a separate audio bus out to a vMix caller, which would be a remote presenter. And we've got one remote presenter queued up. If we look over here at Joey, Joey is sitting there waiting patiently for wave, Joey. Oh, maybe he must have the audio turned down, but there he is. He's going to be presenting shortly. So, oh, there he is. Woke him up from his nap. And so he'll be presenting shortly, and we're using what's called vMix Call to bring that video and audio into the system. Also over here on the right, we're managing Zoom. The picture here is showing us what is going out to the Zoom call. It's also the identical video and audio that's going out to YouTube. And to the right of that, we've got the dialogue so that we can manage look at the participants, mute you guys when you have trouble getting things muted. The chat box where the questions can come in. And then there's another window up here where if a Zoom participant wanted to have a conversation with us, we would be able to see his picture and then actually incorporate the video into the presentation as well. And to the right of all that, bring this microphone with me, is a rather heavy box that we use to transport the wireless microphone receivers. There's a Bluetooth receiver in here, the networking that we use, and the computer. It takes a lot of computing power, and there's not only the main system processor in this box, but a GPU on the video card, two video cards, and the GPUs are heavily used for video processing. We made the big switch from, and then one more thing while we're sitting here is, this is a Stream Deck. Stream Deck is a programmable keyboard that is used in production applications in studios. Yeah, it started with gaming, and it's really general purpose. For example, I could use it with KiCad for all of the custom functions that we might use. But so, for example, I can queue up the left camera, and then I can bring that out to the main feed, and I can fade it back again. I can pretty much drive the entire presentation from this spot. I can also change the room, what the guys in the room are seeing. The local attendees then can see things like this where we're given a tour. One of the big changes we've been making is switching the cameras over to what's called NDI. That's a network device interface that a company called Newtek produced that makes it very convenient for transferring audio across whether wired or wireless internet. We used to deploy cables like this to bring one video feed into the console, and the frame grabbers were just finicky. They didn't always work. We'd be rebooting the system in order to get it to work. And now we just run it over regular Cat5 cable. It's much simpler. We use that, and Wi-Fi. John, if you walked out, and find the main cam, it's kind of dark. But if you walked around in front of this left camera here, there we go. There's John with the Steadicam, pointing over this way, so that, and that's what we're using for the video tour, and that's just a regular camera with the NDI application installed, and using Wi-Fi here in the room to transmit that video. You can see how crisp it is. It's really quite good video. It's full 4K video, and this whole system is set up for processing 4K video. So it all works really, really well. Mark, can you think of anything else that we ought to talk about?
I think that pretty much covers it. I do have one more kind of slide. We were going to talk about kind of what's next. Like I was mentioning, we typically, just before another RMHam-U, it's like, well, can we do this? And Dave kind of mentioned it earlier with Joey coming in. This is the first time we're going to be playing with vMix Collar. And then Joey discovered some things last night that we're still going to play with in the future. So you'll be able to see some more of what vMix can do here shortly. And let me see if I can advance the slide. We've got some more references, questions. Let's open it up for Dave and I to see, if you've got some questions of what we're doing. Well, that's good. Maybe we'll have some time so we can give it to Joey. Let's give Chris a microphone.
Right. Thank you very much.
Did you have? Okay, we do have a question here. Are we still on?
Ah,
I was wondering if you could talk a little more about the Zoom interface. Is this just like emulating a video camera like OSB does, or is there something else to?
What we're feeding the output or the main feed from vMix. We're inputting that into Zoom itself. I believe, are we using the share or we use it as a separate camera? We've had some issues for a while with the resolution, so we've had to play with it a little.
Yeah.
And so that was for when we first started, we had a third monitor that we used to capture to send to Zoom. But with the latest version of vMix, we're using also some, I think it's NewTek NDI tools that we're able to do some things with the virtual cameras and settings.
they've added some additional features to Zoom in the last couple of years. With everybody working at home, it's really become important. They've added support for a second camera. So it gives us the ability to actually share the second camera while feeding the first camera, or in our case, I'm just feeding the RMHam-U icon. But it gives us the opportunity to be flexible with that. The same thing with the audio. We're using a thing called VB audio to wire, essentially in software, wire the audio input and output. So instead of using a microphone and a speaker, we're actually attaching it directly to the audio in vMix. And it seems like every 3 to 6 months it gets a little easier because the tools are getting better. NDI Tools 5.5 came out recently, and there's all kinds of new stuff in there. One of them is called Studio Monitor. Take a PC in this room, hook it up to one of the NDI feeds, and you can see what's up there. It's the same feed. In fact, we're using NDI to feed that up on the screen. So it's a great way to kind of wire the pieces together in software.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't suppose Zoom's going to have an NDI sync restore feature anytime soon.
They're working on it.
Oh, great. That would be really useful.
Yeah, they will accept NDI webcam input, and that's what I'm using here to pick up the vMix video as the second camera. It works really well.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Kill me before my arm falls.
So I just have one more gripe. We
There
need
you
to
go.
put a splitter on the presenter computer so that you can see what you're feeding vMix, because that half-a-second delay between what you see on the screen and what you see on the screen in the back room really messes with presentation.
Yeah, we'll make some tweaks.